Symbolic transmission of the Vidyadharas from the Jewel Rosary History by Longchen Rabjam. The transcendent conqueror Vajrapāṇi taught the Dharma to ḍākinīs, siddhas, and Vidyadharas in the charnel ground called Blazing Fire Mountain to the north of Mount Meru. At that time, there was a nun called Sudharmā, who was the daughter of King Uparāja and Queen Ālokabhāsvatī, radiant light, in the land of Oḍḍiyāna to the west of the Vajra Seat. On one occasion, while she was practicing austerities on an island, she had a dream in which white crystalline man placed a precious vase upon her head. 10 months later, she gave birth to a son. The mother felt ashamed and hid the child in a pit of ash. Then, when she saw ḍākinīs, devas, and nāgas descending from the sky to make offerings to the boy, she begged for forgiveness. She named the child Vetālabhava, Bhava the Resurrected. When the child was 7 years old, many teachings of the Buddha arose in his heart. He asked his mother's permission and went to debate the 500 panditas who served in the royal court in Oḍḍiyāna. When he defeated these masters, they named him Prajnabhava. The king, who was delighted, named the child Prahivajra, supremely joyful Vajra. The ḍākinīs named him Ashen Resurrected. He then went to meditate on Mount Surya Prakasa, and then to the Blazing Fire Mountain charnel ground, where he received teachings on the natural great perfection from Vajrapāṇi. Following this, he went to the peak of extensive activity for the teachings in Malaya. There, he set down the tantras, agamas, and pith instructions of the natural great perfection in volumes, which he entrusted to the ḍākinīs. He then remained at the great charnel ground of Sitavana. At that time, there was a master called Manjusri Mitra, who had been born in a town called Dvikrama, to the west of the Vajra Seat. His father was the Brahmin Sajjusastri, and his mother was Pradipaloka. He was learned in the 5 sciences. Arya Manjusri gave him a prophetic instruction: son of noble family, if you wish to attain Buddhahood in a single lifetime, go the charnel ground of Sitavana. He went as soon as he heard this, and there met the master Garab Dorje, from whom he received all the empowerments and instructions. The great master Garab Dorje then dissolved into a mass of light. At this, Manjusri Mitra cried out in anguish, "Kema kihu, kema long. If the light of the teacher's lamp should fade, who will dispel the darkness of the world?" When he said this, a precious casket, the size of a fingernail, which contained the testament known as the 3 statements that strike the vital point. Then, the master Manjusri Mitra divided the teachings of the natural great perfection into 3 series: mind, space, and pith instructions. He further divided their supreme heart essence into the oral transmission and the explanatory transmission. He set down notes on the secret teachings of the oral transmission. As he could not find a suitable recipient for the explanatory transmission, he hid the texts as treasure in a boulder marked with a crossed Vajra to the northeast of the Vajra Seat. Then he went to the charnel ground of Sasadvipa. At that time, in the town called Black Shakyam in China, there was a great master called Sri Simha, the son of a householder called Possessor of a Virtuous Mind, and a mother called Wise Radiance. He possessed all the qualities of training. As he was traveling westward from his hometown, in a town called Golden Island, he received a prophecy from noble Avalokitesvara, saying, "O fortunate one, if you truly seek the result, go to the great charnel ground of Sosadvipa, to the west of the Vajra Seat in India." On the basis of this, and another identical prophecy that he later received in a bathing pool to the east of Wutai Shan, he traveled to Sosadvipa. The journey took 9 days, during which he did not touch the ground, but floated above it at a height of 1 cubit. When he arrived, he met Manjusri Mitra. He offered prostrations and circumambulations, and said, "Please guide and care for me." The master accepted his request, conferred the instructions, and issued a prophecy concerning the texts. Then he rose into the sky above the charnel ground and dissolved into a mass of light. At this, Sri Simha called out in anguish, "Kiema Kihu," as a result of which a precious casket containing the final testament known as the 6 meditation experiences fell from the sky. Sri Simha then retrieved the texts from the boulder near the Vajra Seat and went to the Tree of Awakening in China, where he divided the texts of the supreme secret teachings into 4 cycles. 1. The outer cycle. 2. The inner cycle. 3. The secret cycle. And 4. The unsurpassed secret cycle. He concealed the texts of the first 3 cycles in the capital of a pillar in the temple gateway to myriad auspiciousness. He retained the final cycle, but then, following a ḍākinīs prophecy, concealed it in the same place and rendered it invisible. Then he traveled to the great charnel ground of Siljan. At that time, there were 2 masters, the great master Vimalamitra, who had been born in the town called Elephant Ridge in western India, to a householder father called Dedan Korlo and mother called Salrikma, and Jnanasutra, who had been born in the town of Kamala in eastern India, to a low-caste father called Santihasta and mother called Virtuous Minded. Both masters were learned in the 5 sciences. On one occasion, while they were residing at the Vajra Seat, they visited a place a couple of miles to the west, a marshy thicket adorned with flowers. When they reached it, Vajrasattva appeared from the sky and issued a prophecy. "Hey, 2 sons of noble family, you have each taken birth as panditas for 500 lifetimes, yet still you have not attained fruition. If you wish to be liberated in a single lifetime, go to the Siljan charnel ground in China." As soon as he heard this, Vimalamitra set out to meet Sri Simha, who granted him the instructions of the oral lineage, as well as the outer, inner, and secret cycles. He then returned to India, where he found Jnanasutra on the outskirts of the town of Gache. Remembering their earlier time together, Jnanasutra asked Vimalamitra if he had indeed met a great master. "I met an emanation of a Buddha," Vimalamitra replied. He then went to practice further activity in the charnel ground of Tachung. Meanwhile, Jnanasutra himself went to the Siljan charnel ground, where he met the great master Sri Simha and requested guidance. Sri Simha accepted, and as before, granted the instructions of the oral lineage, as well as the outer, inner, and secret cycles of the essential teachings. Then he also gave the unsurpassed secret cycle and issued a prophecy concerning the texts. When Sri Simha dissolved into a mass of light, Jnanasutra cried out in anguish, "Kiema Kihu." As a result, a precious casket containing the final testament known as the 7 Nails fell from the sky. Jnanasutra then retrieved the texts from the gateway to Myriad Auspiciousness Temple and went to stay in the great Indian charnel ground called Basing. At that time, Vimalamitra received prophetic guidance from the Dakini Srimati, who said, "Hey, fortunate one, if you wish to receive an instruction even more profound than those you have received, go to the great charnel ground of Basing." He left immediately upon hearing this. When he arrived, he met Jnanasutra and requested guidance. Jnanasutra conferred all the instructions in their entirety before dissolving into a mass of light. At this, Vimalamitra called out in anguish, "Kiema Kihu." As a result, a precious casket containing the final testament known as the 4 means of leaving things as they are. Vimalamitra then traveled to Kamaru in eastern India, where he served as a royal priest to King Simhabhadra by day and taught Dharma to the ḍākinīs in a charnel ground by night. Meanwhile, an emanation of his served as a royal priest to King Dharmaphala in Beria in western India, while also teaching Dharma to the ḍākinīs in a charnel ground called Prabhaskara, 500 leagues to the north of the kingdom, and serving as a royal priest to King Indrabodhi the Younger in Kapala. This concludes the symbolic transmission of the Vidyadharas. Translated by Adam Piercy with the generous support of the Tzadra Foundation, 2025.